Hey, Alan J. Porter with us today. I'm Dominic Castro. He's a CMSWire contributor and he's a chief content architect at Hyland Software. What's going on, Alan?
Hi, it's good to talk to you, Dom.
It's great to talk to you too, and thank you for being a CMSWire contributor. You've been in that family for more than 5 years now, 5 or 6 years. So can't thank you enough for taking what you're hearing in the industry and dispensing your wisdom with our readers.
It's an absolute pleasure to do it. I actually look forward to doing it each month, strangely enough.
Good, good. No, we do too, believe me. And this article, Alan, we're talking about podcasting and it just really making the content within the podcast valuable and not just posting it. And please listen, everybody. Really diving in and getting at the granular level. And one of the things you say in the articles, you want folks to start, thinking of these content models as audio. You want these audio assets to be thought of as modular objects. I would love for you to elaborate on that.
Sure. So, I've spent, oh God, 20, 30 years in the content industry now. I started out in the aerospace industry where just, we always did create content that was modular. We created it in little pieces and, it applied to a particular airplane or a particular part of an airplane. And we moved, and we ended up moving the content around and building systems around that. So we've been doing it for text, I don't know, 30 years now. Starting to see it in marketing, people talking about atomic content in marketing, creating modular content in marketing. But as case of things like podcasts and audio and chatbots and things, we've sort of defaulted back to the old model of just creating something and putting it out there and hopes, as you said, and hope somebody listens to it. And we lose the value of what's in that audio asset. So, I've been podcasting for about 5 years now. And we still tend to do that. We tend to record a show, edit it and put it out there. But I've started really playing around with recording shows in snippets now. So recording it in, smaller snippets that then I can reuse those modules somewhere else. Started off by doing it with the repeated stuff, the stuff we, like the intros and the outros that we use for every podcast. Yeah, do that as an individual file. But then I started thinking about what about the content in between? Could I start actually just rather than sitting down and just talking into the mic for half an hour or an hour, could I actually record those or even go in and edit them and label them within my own management system as discrete objects that I think I could then reuse, run transcription software against them, whatever, but start thinking about what's actually in that content that could be valuable that I might want to reuse somewhere else, and how can I get to that and get it out in an easy, manageable way.
Yeah, it's such a good point because we do our own podcast, CX Decoded, and I'll let you give a shout out to your podcast name too if people want to listen to that. When we're doing it, Alan, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, it's been 20 minutes, it's been 25 minutes, it's been 30. Are we losing people? I'm always worried about we're going too long. I like the conversation, but we're going too long. I love that idea of having the snippets. Yeah. And really extracting that and making them just little chunkable, little consumable items.
Yeah, especially as you go through, there's always that valuable nugget of information that a guest will send out, or a nice sound clip. So even if you don't modularize it while you're actually doing the recording, while you're actually doing the post-production, maybe go out and just, oh, that was a cool piece. Let me make a copy of that and, bring that out. So
yeah, exactly. And another thing you talk about in the article today, Alan, is the value of metadata and making sure you're constantly, aware of that, adding that in. Can you speak to a little bit to that about the value of metadata in these content models?
Yeah. So the idea of adding the metadata is not just knowing what the content is, but what it's about. So just adding that information, even if it's just, a separate README file that you keep alongside it to start with, or just even in the file naming or something, that you start putting the information in there so you can find it, and then you can reuse it, and know what context that it's been pulled, it works in as well, and maybe even which distribution channels you want to put it on. So just building content about the content, if you like, can be really valuable.
Yeah. And did I read in this article? I hope I read it because I edited the article.
Well, I hope you did read
it. There is a podcast in its infancy between you and your wife.
Yes.
I gotta get on that. What's that about?
So both my wife and I are big geeks, as you can probably tell from actually in the background behind me with all the Batman statues.
Yeah, love it.
We're a big pop culture family. There's all sorts of stuff here around me. So we talk about pop culture stuff a lot. We talk about movies. We read a lot of books. We talk about books. We talk about comics. We talk about music. And that's usually our morning walk, is us just talking about stuff that we've watched, listened to, read, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, rather than just the ducks and the turtles in our local pond hearing it as we walk, maybe some other people might be interested in those conversations as well. And it sort of grew out of that. And it's like, well, why don't we do a podcast around that? So we've only put 2 episodes out so far. We aim to do it like monthly. It's called Can't See the Forest, and you can find it on Spotify and anchor.fm if you want to go listen to it. So if you want to know what it's like to go watch 3 different versions of Death on the Nile on 3 consecutive days, then that's what we did last month. So we talk a bit about that. So,
yeah, my wife and I say the same thing. That should be a podcast. That should be a podcast. And I think some acting running titles would be "What's for Dinner," right?
Yeah.
That's a husband and wife podcast. And by the way, there's never an answer to that one. And then the other one would be like, "He's brain dead." That would be a whole topic, and how I'm brain dead. So that's her favorite term for me. But Alan, final question, looking forward for the rest of 2022, you're an active contributor for us. Thank you again. What kinds of things are you tracking, and maybe we can expect in future articles?
Well, you just mentioned my job title as Chief Content Architect. It's a new role. So I think into that role and standing up a content engineering practice at a large software company, and really sort of helping educate and get people thinking about content as an asset in the business. I think that's really going to start to spark some interesting ideas as I actually go through the practicalities of doing that over the next sort of 12, 18 months, 2 years. I think that's really going to help drive some of the thinking. And also still doing a lot of things that are on the leading edge, playing around with not just audio, video, but augmented reality and AI and all that sort of stuff. So I think that we're at a very exciting time in content, and where things that are happening with content. So I think there's going to be more than enough subjects out there to talk about over the next 12 to 18 months.
Right. And we'll be talking about it on the tried and true content model articles on a website, which is not going away anytime soon. So
no, it isn't. It isn't. So.
We appreciate you being a part of that model with us at CMSWire as a contributor. And thank you so much, Alan Porter of Hyland Software. Have a good one.
Thank you. Great to talk to you, Dom.
You too.